Hello and welcome to the 6th edition of Swami Says only on NewsX. Welcome back, Dr. Swami, to a series that is fast, I think, giving a lot of Netflix serials a run for their money. So good to have you back on this show. And today we are going to be discussing, well, a lot has happened on China. We've done a lot of shows, but now, Dr. Swami, it seems as if the Chinese have withdrawn from Galwan sector. It seems that, the NSA and the Chinese foreign minister had a talk. What exactly is happening at the border, according to you?
Well, first of all, Sun Tzu used to say, in his Art of War, said that before you launch a major attack, confuse the enemy by withdrawing. So I wanted to know whether there's any background for this in our India-China relations. So I got hold of a July 15th, 1962,
Chinese troops withdraw from Galwan Post. Exactly the same headline as today.
July 15th, same month, 62.
July.
Chinese troops withdraw from Galwan Post. Great courage shown by Indian Jawans. Delhi warning has had a telling effect on the Chinese. Is there any change in today's headlines? It's exactly the same. And what are they withdrawn to? They have withdrawn to what? To May 5th? To April 10th? Or what it was in 1996? Because they have been encroaching slowly. Now, what was the position on 5th May and what is the position today? They have withdrawn to May 5th. That's not a satisfactory thing. Second, you may notice that the Chinese, the Russians, and the Iranians have come together. Not to mention Pakistan, Burma, probably Bangladesh. So all this media thing about Tibet, Taiwan, first focus on your present problem. Incidentally, both Taiwan and Tibet did not support us on McMahon Line when the matter was discussed in, Taiwan means the Chiang Kai-shek government. They did not agree to the McMahon Line. Tibet also did not agree. Only that the British had won over the representative of the man called Longchen Chatra, who had come to negotiate. They won him over and the Tibetans disowned him. It's all there in my book, which is coming out very soon. So there are documents to show that 1912, when they had a meeting, tripartite meeting of the Chinese, that is Chiang Kai-shek, Sun Yat-sen's government, and which was succeeded by, after Sun Yat-sen passed away, Chiang Kai-shek took over. The Chinese government, the Tibetan independent Tibet government, and the Indians represented by the British. And McMahon drew a line, and I think he bribed Longchen Chatra, the Tibetan representative. The Chinese said, nothing doing, we won't have anything to do with this. Then the Tibetans announced, this is wrong, we don't accept, because in that line, some of the monasteries are part of India, which they said belong to us. And surprisingly, the British government disapproved of the behavior of McMahon, who was the foreign secretary in India at that time, and transferred him as ambassador to Egypt. And we are being singing about McMahon Line. However, I still tell the Chinese, you have to respect the McMahon Line, because your agreement with Burma on the border, you specifically mentioned that McMahon Line shall be the international boundary. It's the same line from India to Burma, that McMahon Line. So if you accept it for Burma, you accept it for us. I was saying, number one, that Mr. Doval should study Sun Tzu's doctrine of the art of war, and also our past experience the same Galwan, the same withdrawal, the same jubilation. In when? July 15th, 1962. All right. And then suddenly on October, it started with a warning in September, but the real part started on October 21st of 1962. And we were totally caught unawares, basking in this. So today, I only say, whoever is in the channels today in the state of euphoria, please tell me to what we have withdrawn to. How does this square with the line we drew in 1996 by mutual consent, which itself was unfavorable to us, by the way. But Narasimha Rao told me at that time, we got to start working. We are only saying it's a line of actual control, but legal control we'll worry about by arguments. And he hoped to conclude it by discussion, but unfortunately he lost the election, and then everything changed. So I first of all say we have a major problem with the Chinese coming up in August and September, when the weather turns out to be much better for them. And they are now getting, we thought that we had got rid of Oli. The latest shows that Oli is tiring everybody out. And the Pakistanis don't matter. But the Iranians are with us. They are ones who have been supplying us oil, which we, on American pressure, said no. The Americans are in a mess because they got an election coming. Trump has to make up his anti-Chinese, maybe election rhetoric. So after November, if he's still elected, he's still president, then he will forget about all this rhetoric, because the Americans are very practical people. They only look after their country's interests, and everybody else is secondary. If it can be fitted, fit it. So I personally don't like this whole thing being discussed. Second, we have
a false sense of security. That's what's happened.
No, what I'm saying is, all your media is interviewing people from Taiwan and Tibet. Have we not an agreement, not once but twice, first signed by Jawaharlal Nehru and then signed by Atal Bihari Vajpayee in 2003, that Tibet is a part of China. Tibet, and Vajpayee went even one step further. You can partition Tibet. So the residual Tibet is the Tibet. So the Chinese have broken Tibet into 4 parts. 3 parts they merged into the neighboring states. And that small 1/3 of the Tibetans are living in 1/4 of the territory. And that they call as the Tibet region of China. As well as the original Tibet of China. So you have signed treaties, have you, without abrogating these treaties? You can talk about Tibet, but you first abrogate the treaty and face the consequences of that. Second, Taiwan. We have never recognized Taiwan. In 1962, did Taiwan support us? Please go and read the record. They said that while we don't support the People's Republic of China, but the claims of the People's Republic of China on the border is correct. We stand by it. And that was their stand also in 1948-49. So I think this is not the time to expand, go into multivarious issues, Tibet, Taiwan. These are all issues for the future. First, let's decide whether we're going to teach the Chinese what they taught us in 1962 and get them across the actual line of control, not what the UPA allowed them to encroach on. And we can't take this as a new line of control. Where the Chinese were on the 5th of May is a new line of control. Going back to that is not enough. So there is no transparency in exactly what is happening. Either you maintain complete secrecy. I will tell Mr. Modi this. Maintain complete secrecy or total transparency. Not this halfway business, you see. And go on spin, and then blame the Chinese. Everybody is blaming the Chinese. They just took advantage of your position. And therefore, we have to establish that we can have them pushed out so that they never repeat it. There is no more favorable strategic environment for us than today. The Chinese have got a long supply line. This terrain is known very well to us. Our soldiers have already demonstrated in hand-to-hand combat. The Chinese must have lost twice now. The Americans have got some defector who says 113 people were killed. The Indians killed, 20 died and killed 113. This come on the American news. So I am afraid that we will have another letdown if this euphoria continues in our channels, giving false expectations to our people. And that is exactly what happened in 1962. And you will be caught unawares. The Chinese are plotting, planning. We don't know which are the other countries. I don't know whether Bangladesh is going to stay with you. I'm reasonably certain about Sri Lanka. I'm also reasonably certain because of Nasheed in Maldives. But that's, all the others. Now Iran has gone over completely to the Chinese side because the Americans have made it an issue. Are the Americans with us? Are they giving us weaponry? No. Only country which is sincerely with us is Israel. And whatever they are supplying, they're supplying. So
that's the thing, at the risk of sounding, saying, can we afford to take on China? And I keep coming to that. Even Israel, what can they give us enough to take on the fight of China? China is very well prepared. I would say
that's a wrong question.
Now to come back later. Okay.
That's your wrong question. We have to take on China because it will be the second time. And after this, let's forget about any respect for us in the international forum. Most countries do think that if anyone can take on China, it's India. And if they take it on successfully, we will enter into the world arena as an equal. This is now or never. And the Chinese should know that we are ready to, what Mao Zedong said, I'm ready to eat grass, but I will produce the not atom bomb. We are ready to eat grass, spill as much blood as you want, but in the end, we shall prevail. And our people are capable of that. We have fought 600 years, the Mughals, and finished them off ultimately in 1795. We fought the British for 150 years and ultimately sent them home. This is a country which has stamina. But then you have to motivate the people by that, not by telling them it's all over now. Don't worry. Doval has done speaking to Wang. Wang is nobody. The PLA which is running the show. Even Xi Jinping is nobody. This is a
That's
decision.
what I wanted to ask you about, the internal dynamics.
Yeah, I'm telling you, there is either going to be, if Xi Jinping puts too hard, there'll be a coup. We don't know who will win.
Hello?
It's in 1971, Mao Zedong and Lin Biao. That was the fight, but Mao Zedong had his way. But Mao Zedong is a great planner. So I'm saying that for us, we have no alternative. We have to push the Chinese out. Because these things can't be covered up by spin.
The internal...
Yes, go on, internal.
Well, the internal dynamics of China is what I wanted to ask you about. You said that is not the right person. It's the PLA that's really calling all the shots.
Yes, they say that we need it because our future depends on it. We made a mistake in, the LAC was not good enough. Now this Karakoram Pass is very vital for us for the Border Roads Initiative. or whatever it's called, BRA, BRI, and we are Galwan, and then onwards to Drupchek or whatever the place is called. It's very close to the Karakoram Pass, Dipsum or something like that. So therefore, they have got a clear strategic objective that, you know, India is sitting in a place where we don't want India to be sitting, so we're going to push them. And now they are saying we are returning to the new line of control. Essentially that. I challenge the government to give us photographic evidence as to where the Chinese have pulled back to. And pulling back means nothing, as this has shown. July pulled back. And we all said, Delhi warning has had telling effect. Sounds, even our idiom has not changed. And certainly not in NewsX.
Well, I think that's the. But you know, you spoke about spin earlier. Maybe to look at the pragmatic side, maybe the spin. He is opting for spin right now because he feels that now is not the right time to go in for a war. You know, you and I keep differing on that one. In terms of our economic situation, in terms of a lot of things, maybe the Prime Minister and his team are being pragmatic. Like, let's delay it. That would work for us.
In this world of electronics, is it possible to hide the truth for very long? Don't you think that our detractors, and in the United States, Trump may be for us, but there are lots of detractors in the United States, the New York Times, the Washington Post. They don't spare their own president, they're going to spare us. And they have been from day one after against Modi. They want to destabilize the newspapers. Same thing with the London Economists. These are all English newspapers, all of us can read. And therefore, I would say that let us be modest. Say we have a very limited objective. We don't want to be enemies of China. We'd like to be friends. But you have a transgress into our territory unless you clear out. We are enemies. But just because we are enemies with you doesn't mean I will now think of multi-projects, you see. Tibet independent, Taiwan independent. Xinjiang will be called East Turkmenistan. How does Xinjiang affect us? You see. So our focus should be like what Dronacharya told Arjuna when he was taking his examination. What do you see of the, he says, I see a bird. He said, you see the whole bird? He said, no, I see the iris of the eye of the bird only. Then Drona said, you qualified, I pass you the exam. I say the same thing to Modi. Your only objective is not sitting down with A, B, C, D and sending G, E, F to China or through video conferencing and have a chat. You just have one line, no chatting, no discussion, nothing. Please clear out. If I can't clear you out today, I will clear you out tomorrow. If not this year, next year. But I am not any dealings with you till you clear out. That should be the focus of the Prime Minister and produce results. Otherwise, another tragedy like 1962, our people will not be able to take it. And then I don't know what all will happen.
Two things. One is you want clarity on exactly where the Chinese have withdrawn, as you know, they said de-escalation. So what is this de-escalation and disengagement? Need more clarity. And secondly, you're also saying be alert. Don't be lulled by this false sense of security.
No, but first of all, supposing they have not crossed the old LAC, but they have only reached the new LAC according to Chinese PLA. It's not a mutually decided. Then
you want them to withdraw beyond April. You know, April is really when the first incursions took place.
From beyond up to
from 96 line.
Up to 1996.
96 is
line of 1996. They must respect. If they don't respect, we can't be friends with them. Then whenever you are Mr. Xi Jinping, whenever you are in difficulty with the Americans or whoever, we will not help you.
So, Dr. Swami, I hope the camera doesn't freeze for my next question because I want to see your expression when I ask you this. All your comments, there's a lot of similarity between you and Rahul Gandhi on China.
Well, see, Rahul Gandhi must be listening to me on NewsX and then repeating it. So there's no similarity. It's just plagiarism. And I don't think he can think of what I'm thinking on his own.
No, but he's, there's a lot of...
If tomorrow he says the sun is going to rise from the east, I'm not going to contradict him. You see, whether he's copied me or he's copied whatever, yes. It's irrelevant. I am a member of the party, and I want the party to prosper. That is why I've gone to Uttarakhand and fought against the act passed by the government there, which is the BJP government. Wherever it is, you may remember when there was an attempt by Mr. Jaitley to ratify Ms. Sonia Gandhi's deal on the air on that Rafale. I said I'll go to court. And then Parikar told me, no, we will draw up a new agreement, but I need planes very urgently, the army. So the only people who are ready to give us this fast is the French. So therefore I'll go through, and Parikar went through it like a tooth comb. He was not very happy in the end because many modifications are done behind his back, but he satisfied me that this was a different plane from the one Ms. Sonia Gandhi had negotiated. We only are buying 32 or 36, and Sonia Gandhi had contracted for 126, and our sisters got the goodies. So therefore, so I'm saying the issue is that these Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi have absolutely no moral right to give us lectures on nationalism. Because everything they have done, including nearly giving away Siachen, which the military revolt stopped them from doing, they have done it. All this transgression across the line of actual control happened during the UPA period. You have your media has interviewed people who say that every day there was some encouragement. They kept slowly moving forward. It's called the Chinese torture or something. Drip, drip, drip. A drop of water falls on your head and you go nuts on it. So the same way they have gone little. And suddenly they made the mistake of not knowing a BJP government is different from Congress government. Just because Modi met Xi Jinping 18 times, he's not just going to forget his nationalism. So therefore, this time the Chinese have been red-handed, but now they are in great difficulty. Because if they back down, they are finished. If they don't back down, we'll have to make them back down. And I will say to the Chinese, as a person who has always wanted good relations between India and China, don't be stupid, withdraw beyond that line, and then let's sit down and work out how we can have more confidence building measures. But this is a turning point in our history, and the Chinese cannot keep any inch of Indian territory, which was part of it in 1996.
Okay, that's a pretty firm message from someone. And as you said, you've also been a friend of China, so I'm hoping your words will reach them and have some impact or the other. But another topic that you touched upon.
If Modi asks me to talk to the Chinese, maybe something will happen. It won't come in the newspapers, though. On those matters with the Chinese, nobody should ever speak to the newspapers.
Not even to Swami says on NewsX.
No, then I'll talk in general terms. But what I actually discussed with them, I never reveal. What I said to Deng Xiaoping and how I got Kailash Mansaro opened, is a miracle. Everybody, including Moraji, they said to connect with me, it can't be done. It was done.
What did you tell him? Or you're not going to tell me?
No. The arguments I gave, he could not say no. And there was a background that I'm basically sympathetic to them. I mean, I'm in favor of India-China relations. I will listen to the Americans and quarrel with the Chinese. Or listen to those days, the Soviet Union, and quarrel with the Chinese, or say things which would be something which will be against the Chinese interests. And I'll say it to their face when I meet them. As I told them on their face, that you have signed in, you have in your treaty with Burma said, this McMahon line is the international boundary between China, that is Tibet, and Burma. So you have to accept it with us also.
Okay, I'm going to quickly cut. Sorry,
yeah. Go ahead.
I want to quickly, because we're out of time, but I quickly want to touch upon your Uttarakhand case, to shift focus totally back to within India. You've taken on your own government on, a fact that they want to actually manage 51 temples in Uttarakhand. Why are you so against that?
Well, this is our long-standing policy that we will free temples from government control. One of the greatest injustices done to Hindus is that the norms on which the government has taken over temples is not applied to churches and mosques. Not one single mosque has been taken over by the government. Not one single church has been taken over by the government. Only the Hindus. And after taking them over, the British did it. They started it. There has been plunder of these temples. Even today, the temples collectively have got more, about 8 times more gold than the Reserve Bank has got. And once government control is there, we don't know whether that pure gold will be substituted. That was a problem in the Padmanabha Swami temple, for which the Supreme Court had to intervene. So I am saying that temples cannot be in the hands of the government. Now, in the case of Uttarakhand, the chief minister has declared himself as the chairman of the board for administering the temple. Has he no other work? And how many temples? 4 Chardhams. No, 4 Chardhams plus 51 temples. Chardhams are special. One is for Shiva, one is for Vishnu, and the other is for Ganga, and the other is for Jamuna. They are highly special. And
but they are saying it's for administrative purpose only because of the floods.
So, what is? You please give me a report that there was some mismanagement. Supreme Court, in a judgment called Subramaniam Swami versus State of Tamil Nadu for the Nataraj temple in the city of Chidambaram. Chidambaram is another name for Shiva, by the way, not for crooks. But that temple, TMK government took it over. And I went to Supreme Court and got it removed. And Supreme Court has laid down, the present Chief Justice was one of the judges. They've laid down beautiful conditions when you can take over. And then, having taken over, after a brief period, you must return it after rectifying the mismanagement that has taken place, and then return it. In this takeover, the Act says this is in perpetuity. Supposing the Chief Minister is not the Chief Minister and a Congress Chief Minister comes after an election, who will be the real worry? The congressman will be the chairman of the board. No wonder the congressmen are not objecting. They'll have great fun once all these temples come under them. So I think this is an outrageous, anti-national, anti-BJP act. And I would say the fact that the Indian Union Government of India, that is the central government, they were also a party because the act says that a representative of the Culture Ministry will be on the board. So the additional Solicitor General told the court, I will not appear on this matter because the government of India has no interest in this case. So there is not my taking, I'm fighting with a renegade BJP government. It's a shame on the BJP that they have passed such an act and are implementing it without knowing anything about it. I pointed out in my arguments, which I'll give you a written copy someday, soon enough, you can see they don't even know how to draft an act. They say such silly things, which is unbelievable.
Well, on that note, with Dr. Swami I think in this has been a pretty explosive conversation, whether it is on China or Uttarakhand. You've taken a totally different line from that, actually, that is also the official line, but then that is, of course, being Swami. So expect the unexpected, but as usual, he takes a stand that is backed with facts. He's got, he doesn't just come up with statements, he's got facts to prove his points. And we hope to see more of those.
It's good for democracy too. Say that also, it's good for democracy. We are not,
for democracy.
We are not in the military. BJP is not a military that, everybody must have the same view or keep quiet.
And someone who also suffered the emergency. Good words to end the show on. Thank you so much for having this conversation with us. And we'll see you again same time next week, Dr. Swami. Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.